think that was the first one I said. We chase PragerU with high fives. No, don't chase PragerU with high fives. They'll say it's assault. All right.
Andrew Jackson.
Near the White House overnight, a tense standoff with police as protesters tried to tear down a statue of former President Andrew Jackson.
With ropes tied around his horse, protesters...
Guys, this video is only 2 minutes long, and it's already used like a fifth of its runtime to show statue videos.
Tried to pull down the statue of former US President Andrew Jackson on Monday near the White House, but were ultimately driven back by police. Video showed demonstrators climbing on the bronze statue in Lafayette Square and scrawling "Killer Scum" on its base in the latest bid to destroy images of historical figures considered racist.
Statues of great historical figures like Andrew Jackson are being torn down across America. Here are some facts about Jackson that remind us why his statue should remain. Andrew Jackson became a national hero long before his presidency. In 1815, he won the Battle of New Orleans, the most lopsided victory in U.S. military history. 3 years later, he boldly invaded Spanish territory in Florida, seizing 2 major forts, and took charge as military governor. This set up the U.S. acquisition of Florida in 1819. Jackson's popularity greatly expanded participation in U.S. elections.
Okay, guys, just as a point here, we'll get to the statue tearing down in a bit. Do you guys know who was allowed to participate in elections when Andrew Jackson was alive? Do you guys know? Because here, it wasn't that many people. You could only participate in elections if you were white, if you were a man, and if you owned land. So, hello, Lily Rose for Prez. Hello, from the other side of the Atlantic. I hope you're having a fantastic day, or alternatively, from the other side of the Pacific, depending on which way is shorter. I hope you're having a great time, and I hope you enjoy this channel. But yeah, yeah, greatly expanded participation in U.S. elections, and then you need the fine print down here. If you were white, a man, and owned land.
The last campaign before he became a candidate drew a total of 108,000 voters. 12 years later, in 1832, 1,300,000 voted in his landslide re-election campaign, an increase of 1,200%. Jackson's toughness averted the breakup of the Union and sectional conflict 30 years before the Civil War.
Okay, just as a fun fact, Jackson did this specifically because he hated abolitionism. Andrew Jackson specifically didn't like abolitionists, and he gave Southern postal carriers the ability to censor abolitionist mail material. So he literally trampled on the idea of free speech in order to support slavery. But yeah, sure, he prevented the Civil War from happening by suppressing people who didn't think slavery was good. I guess that's a good reason to have a statue of him.
Before the Civil War, when he unequivocally threatened force against South Carolina, which had tried to nullify federal tariffs. In 1835, President Jackson kept a far-fetched campaign promise. He paid off the national debt, all of it, for the only time in U.S. history.
Do you guys know why it's the only time in U.S. history that happened? It's because national debt is actually something that matters when you're engaging in international diplomacy. So having international debt actually ties nations together more closely and basically encourages peace, because guess what? If you go to war against someone who owes you a lot of money, they ain't going to pay it back. Well, we're gonna get to more. Okay, we're still talking about the video's not done yet. Only time in U.S. history. Yeah, it's actually good to have a national debt. It's not good to have a runaway national debt, but it is actually good to have a national debt.
Although he was known as an Indian fighter, Jackson also adopted an orphaned native 3-year-old
I don't give a shit about him adopting an Indian child, though. Like a Native American child. Wait, yeah, okay.
rescued from the battlefield. He raised Lincoln Jackson alongside his other adopted son, Andrew Jackson Jr., and hoped to enroll him in West Point, but the Indian boy died at 17
Native American, Indigenous American, died at 17.
of tuberculosis.
Okay, notice how they really, really, really glossed over his reputation as an Indian fighter. Largely because one of the things Andrew Jackson is primarily known for when it comes to Native Americans is signing the act that I believe it's called the Indian Removal Act, which essentially allowed the United States to just roll in with the military and force Native people out of their lands if, for whatever reason, the United States decided they weren't going to honor a treaty. So this is basically what set up the Trail of Tears immediately after the time of Andrew Jackson. Yeah, the Trail of Tears was enabled by Andrew Jackson. And I need to remind you guys, yeah, he had good reason to hate the natives. But William of Orange, he clearly didn't hate the natives. He adopted a native child. Now, I'm sorry, my dude. I'm not going to say, well, it was okay to commit genocide because he hated Native Americans. Sorry. I don't think your personal anecdotal experiences with people justify genocide. Sorry. I also think that when it comes to tearing down a statue, I think it's actually okay. It's okay for us to collectively decide, hey, this person helped enable genocide. Hey, this person actively fought actively fought for slavery, actively trampled on the rights of Americans. Yeah, I think it's okay for us in a modern context to say, hey, we recognize that America includes Native Americans now, it includes Black people now, and maybe our values as a nation have changed from where they were when this statue was erected. Maybe our views on history can change over time, and maybe the statues we've erected in the past might not have been erected to honor things that we thought they were. So like this is something that's good. We should tear down statues that have outlived their usefulness. Yeah, I'm okay with that. William of Orange, I have a feeling you're someone who's like, yeah, the massacre at Wounded Knee was an actual battle. I have a feeling you're gonna say have that big brain take when it comes to Native Americans.